body's air filter.
The preceding was a paid advertisement for Time Life Presents the 60s.
Fetch.ai is building an open access, tokenized, decentralized machine learning network to enable smart infrastructure in the digital economy. And with me is Humayun Sheikh, the CEO of Fetch.ai, as well as Jonathan Ward, the Chief Technology Officer. So great to have you both here, and great to see you again, Humayun. Nice to meet you, John.
Thank you for inviting us again, Jane. It's always a pleasure.
Well,
happy to meet you again.
So let's talk about the collective learning. We discussed this briefly, Humayun, in a previous interview that we did. But what is it, and could you go into a little bit more depth about what it is exactly?
Yeah, so what we are building is a new architecture and a business model around bringing machine learning and AI to a collaborative environment. So what we're really trying to do is bringing the different stakeholders who can then train these machine learning models, which in current form would be either dominated by bigger corporations, or you'll have to spend quite a lot of infrastructure costs to bring machine learning and AI in terms of the data sets and in terms of the human resource who can actually do the machine learning and training of the models. So what we're doing is we're opening it up to a collaborative environment and building the architecture, the infrastructure where people can come in and benefit from already trained models, train new models, and share these models for a collective improvement of the model.
Okay, so everybody can learn from that information and nobody gets an edge, apparently, right? Is how I'm understanding it?
Yes, and also you keep your data secure. Okay. It's with you. You don't move the data around. All you do is you still improve the models. You actually learn from each other's data sets, but you don't actually share the data itself.
Interesting. Okay. So John, explain exactly how the collective learning works.
Well, so we use a combination of blockchain technology and machine learning technology, and what blockchain is really good for is coordinating the activities of different stakeholders, and you can introduce different kinds of governance models over the way the machine learning model is trained. So you can use economic incentives. You could have a consortium of businesses defining some rules, potentially through legal means, and that provides you the flexibility to serve lots of different use cases.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then Humayun, what's the problem associated with healthcare data in context of the pandemic, and then what is the benefit of your approach?
So if you look at what's been happening is that a lot of hospitals are doing these X-rays, and you look at the X-ray, you try and detect what infection looks like on an X-ray, for example, and various hospitals would have done their own data sets. These won't be huge amounts of data sets, but you have enough data sets that you can actually train a machine learning model which can automatically detect COVID, right? For example. Now, if you look at just one hospital, then their data set is limited to that, and you can only do so much machine learning on that data set. Now, if you bring all of these hospitals together, now it doesn't matter which country, and you can have multiple countries within countries. You can have similar organizations. You can have separate organizations. Now, if they all put the data together and trained a model, that would be a much better model. And John can give you more technical details. But what our architecture enables you to do is get that model trained by all the distributed data sets that is available. And what that enables you to do is it includes much more variance in the data set. It also improves the machine learning model itself a lot quicker. And new joiners or the new trainers of the model can very quickly accelerate their learning, and actually they can start seeing results from the model.
And Jonathan, how successful has collective learning been so far?
Well, so I mean, what we showed is a kind of proof of concept. What you can imagine is that you have a situation where, especially with a pandemic, a kind of really urgent threat, data initially is at a huge premium. So in some of the experiments we've done, we've seen what would happen if the data sets are still quite small. So you can imagine a hospital might start off only having a few hundred examples, which is not enough really to train an accurate model. So the real benefit that we showed with the system is that by combining the information from across those multiple data sets, again, as Hermione said, without sharing the data, crucially, what you can do is get a dramatic improvement in the performance. So they would all automatically, very quickly, have a very accurate machine learning model that they could use to diagnose patients. And in this particular case, we actually made some improvements to the training protocol, and we were able to get around 97% accuracy in discriminating COVID pneumonia from other kinds of pneumonia. So what we showed really was that if this infrastructure had been available early on in the pandemic, it could have provided early benefits in terms of triaging patients and improving their care early on.
Now, Co-Learn is a product that sits on the Fetch network. So can you explain what that is and how it's used in the system?
Co-Learn is just a suite of products which we're building, which is to do with collective learning. And you have various different kind of Lego blocks type approach. So you could have, for example, different consensus models. You can deploy it in a permission or an unpermissioned system, which means the commercial organizations can deploy a private network, or other participants can deploy a public network. So there are different types of products, which I think John can probably give you a bit more kind of flavor of the machine learning side of it. But it's a suite of products which we plan to release over the next year or so, and which will enable people to do collective learning much easier, much more plug-and-play system where you don't have to worry too much about having even people who understand machine learning. You can deploy it without that.
Okay, John, do you want to add anything to that, the machine learning part?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I would add is that obviously, organizations struggle to do machine learning already, and part of what we're doing by providing more access to data is to make that process easy. And I would say what Co-Learn is towards doing is actually building a set of tools so people can get involved. They can start collaborating with others to actually build the model more easily and more effectively than they can themselves. And that also involves potentially sharing expertise and knowledge between the different organizations, coming to agreement on what kind of model works best, what kind of problem works best, and those kind of more, I would say, kind of governance orientated things that blockchains are also really good at solving.
Okay, so Hermione, let's wrap it up. So what's next for collective learning with Fetch.ai?
We, over the next months and over the next couple of years, we intend to bring new products out in the market, which will enable people to deploy different types of machine learning problems and solutions. So over the next few months and over a couple of years, we'll be bringing out a marketplace for these machine learning models, where you'd be able to find the collaboration partners, where you'd be able to find collaboration models. You'll be able to deploy very easily, so you don't have to worry about where the data is stored. You don't have to worry about what kind of consensus model. It's a plug-and-play Lego-based AI machine learning system, and that could be applied in different verticals, including healthcare, fintech, mobility, any.
Very interesting. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mayan and John, for joining us and explaining this part of the company, and I look forward to talking to you again.
It's been a pleasure as usual.
It's been a pleasure.
Zynecoin is a company that is tokenizing the entire tribal experience, restaurants, casinos, and we've talked to Jeff Johnson, the Chief Operating Officer, before, and he's got with us again today to give us an update, Jeff, and then also you've got some special guests. So why don't let's start with just a summarization of Zynecoin for people who haven't seen it before, and then tell me where you're at. I know you're at Olympia, Washington, the Native American Red Wind Casino. So talk about why it's special and introduce your guests.
Sure, yeah. Zynecoin is a sovereign currency for the Native nations, and the idea behind it is to help with the invisibility factor that's going on and also to attract outside investment to the sovereign lands. And today we're at the Red Wind Casino in Olympia, Washington with Mr. Simmons and Jay Simmons of the Nisqually tribe, and we brought them on to kind of give their point of view on what we have going on with Zynecoin and what that looks like to them.
Okay, and can you tell a little bit about how Zynecoin is helping the tribes come together?
Sure. Yeah, and I'd like to get John's perspective on that. That's right up his alley.
Well, thank you for the opportunity here. I have a couple of ideas or ways that we can do this. One of the clearest ways to get this information out so that our native tribes understand what Zynecoin is all about is to put a small narrative together that explains what Zynecoin is, not a long history, but a short narrative, then how can that benefit the tribes? And that's to get the tribal members to understand that when you put this together, that it would be good to send a little blurb to each of the tribe newspapers. The only way you're going to get into the community is to have them understand and see what Zynecoin is about. And many times you can be stopped here because the tribal council may not be interested, and so nobody in the tribe will be able to hear anything. But if you put it in the newspapers, then everybody in those tribes, and there are 523 of them plus, they would be able to have an opportunity to understand and see what Zynecoin is all about and how that can benefit them.
Okay, very interesting. Okay, thank you. And then also, we have the Director of Tribal Gaming here as well, Jay Simmons. So Jay, can you explain what you've been working on?
Sure, no problem. So being Director of Tribal Gaming for Zynecoin, a lot of work has gone into it. Talking with different tribes and also the National Indian Game Commission, we're talking about a lot of legitimacy and making sure that we're compliant with all the compacts. It's very important that when we go and talk with the tribes and their enterprises, and especially the casinos, that they understand that we're following all regulations and all the rules, because we want to make sure people understand we're not trying to break anything. We're simply just trying to be there and help them thrive and showcase what we can actually do for them within the gaming realm. And also reaching tribes that don't have casinos is a big part as well. This is another way to bring revenue to them, partner with outside businesses, and also help those businesses that don't think they can partner with tribal enterprises. But this is not only for the native community, but also the outside world.
Well, busy is good, so it means things are happening. So now, Michael, the Chief Financial Officer of Zynecoin, it's great to see you again, and you have a huge announcement. You want to break some news here today?
I have two huge announcements. The first announcement I'd like to announce is that our partners CashQ and Beam Platform and us have actually just created and are going to be launching our own Zynecoin exchange here very shortly. And this next announcement, I need to be a little careful due to NDAs and whatnot, but I can state that Zynecoin has secured 4 exchange listings already for 2021, and that's just the beginning. And I'd like to pass it off to Irina at this time and have her explain and go into more detail about what the Zynecoin exchange is going to offer. So go ahead, Irina.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much, Zynecoin team, for inviting me. I'm honored to be on NASDAQ again. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of money transfer services CashQ. We help people to send money globally just in a few steps. And the most important part, without any specific applications or complicated interfaces. We live in your messenger. So today we are already connected with Telegram, and in the first quarter of 2021, we will be in main messengers like Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, iMessage, and so forth. Through our researches, we have found out that a lot of people are still technically challenged, but everyone has a phone and everyone loves texting. So with us, the full process takes simple text messaging. The easiest makes possible for people worldwide to participate in a digital money transfer. Over 60 countries, bank cards, wallets, mobile money are available for our users. Cryptocurrency is the most innovative money of the future, right? So, and especially sovereign currency native coin. About a year ago, we have created the world's first native coin ATM, the safety way to access sovereign currency in casinos, stores, or anywhere in native lands. But the pandemic has updated our plans and sped up a digital transition. And today we are proud to announce the ability of native coin on our platform. We are so excited and we cannot wait to start our journey together. So the native coin is a global currency, and we are extending global presence to connect a native coin to our network of international bank cards and wallets. In some countries, mobile money will be available as well. The simplicity is the key. And with a population over 7 billion people, some of them might be digitally excluded, through our partnership, people can get an access to native coin literally on their fingerprints, using cryptocurrency as a messaging process, just text it. So we're so happy and we cannot wait to start.
Well, and you brought up an interesting point, Irina, too, about how the pandemic has kind of accelerated the adoption of digital currency and just doing business digitally. And I know, Jeff, you and I have talked about that too. Do you want to give me a wrap up as we're closing out on the end of this most unusual year, and what it's been like for Native Coin and what you're looking forward to next year?
Sure. Yeah, this year has been one of the craziest years of my life, and definitely crazy for Native Coin. The coronavirus has really sped up the process of digital currencies. They're all over in the news now. Banks are getting their own, countries are getting their own. We've been planning on this, working on this for the last 3 years, and we've lived up to all the promises, everything we talked about on your show, talked about on our website, talked about in our original white paper, and a lot more. And so to recap, the on and off ramp for Native Coin through the ATM machines and exchanges, we've got, like Michael said, 4 new exchanges coming, including the native exchange with a Qcash. And then moving forward into the next year, we just set up a brand new website, a new white paper. You guys can check that out, native-coin.com, native-coin.com. And it talks all about what we have going on our roadmap in the future. And we're very honored to be here with Mr. Simmons and at his Redland Casino with the Nisqually tribe. It's been absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And best of luck to you next year. And Jeff, always appreciate talking to you. And also John Simmons, and Jay Simmons, and Michael, and Irina. It's great to get an update. And as we move forward into 2021. So thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Zencoin, leveraging blockchain technology to empower African economic freedom. Joining me is CEO Karim bin Abdelkader. Welcome, Karim.
Hello.
Okay, so for which reasons do you think that blockchain will experience this dazzling development in Africa?
Considering Burkina Faso as an example, only 12% of the population is banked, but the use of smartphones is completely democratized. As a result, Burkinabés will go straight to the use of blockchains in order to hold and transfer value, thus keeping retail banking. Africans are fond of new technologies, especially those who improve their daily lives and allow the creation of wealth. For those reasons, we have no doubts that Africa will become the continent of blockchains, or at least a major actor which ensures has strong development potential for our projects, which are focused on both Africa and blockchain.
Sounds great. Now, you did initiate this new project. It's called ZYN on your own blockchain, which is Wethio. Tell us more about it.
The utility value of the ZYN token is the construction of eco-villages in Africa, not exclusively for Africans, but for all those who wish to live in an ecological environment, combining both eco-responsibility and technological development. Indeed, the goal is to reach full autonomy for water, food, and energy, but also the creation of value through Wethio. We would like to experiment new ways to put the economy at the service of people, where they are the core component of an economical model instead of being simple customers or peripherals.
What news do you have about ZYN ICO?
We are currently at the third round of the ZYN ICO, which will end on April 7, 2021. We didn't wait for the end of the ICO to get started with the deployment of its utility value, namely eco-villages, as we have already finalized the acquisition of the first plot of land in the vicinity of Marrakesh. Soon, we will present 3D planes of the different eco-habitat models that will be offered to the future buyers. For more information, you could visit ZYNRRI.io.
Perfect. But before that, as part of the Wethio's development, you launched Zencoin. Tell me about Zencoin.
Zynecoin is Wethio's native coin. It was sold to investors in order to fund the development and promotion of Wethio, the first African blockchain. The challenge has been met with Wethio's deployment. Zynecoin entered the market in November 2019 at 45 cents. It is currently listed on B-Box on public exchanges, and as of now, its value is above $1, a value gain of about 120% over a year. And we are just in the beginning. Best is yet to come.
Fantastic news. Now, we often talk a lot about decentralized applications on the blockchain, the dApps. Do you have any projects related to that?
Yes, absolutely. We actually have a program to develop and deploy 2 dApps during 2021. For example, the first project on which we are working consists of developing a tool about health and security, as they are increasingly important topics. They will allow the development of online medical consultation in Africa, as well as the traceability of medicines on the continent, thus effectively participating in the fight against counterfeiting, which is a real scourge on the continent.
So important. Speaking of Wethio, is Wethio blockchain interoperable with other blockchains?
We intend to improve Wethio's interoperability capabilities through the DeFi framework by creating the Rapid Zynecoin token, which will act as a bridge between both Wethio and Ethereum blockchains. It will allow value transfers between both blockchains, thus reinforcing the liquidity and value of Zynecoin. This technological challenge will allow us to take full advantage of the opportunities offered by the Ethereum environment, and in particular, the entry of Rapid Zynecoin on Uniswap, a decentralized platform appreciated by traders, which will not fail to have a very favorable impact on the price of the Zynecoin.
Karim, it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and good luck with all of this.
Electroneum offers a new way to earn, send, and pay using blockchain technology. And with me is CEO and founder Richard Ells. And we've talked before, Richard. It is great to see you again and get an update on how Electroneum is doing.
Thank you for having me on again, James. Always a pleasure to see you. Yeah, thanks. Electroneum's always crazy busy at the office. Yeah, pleasure to give you an update.
Now, we have talked a little bit about any task. And you've really achieved quite a bit there in 8 months, right? It's just been going on for 8 months. So explain any task and what kind of progress, what's happening with that part of the business.
Yeah, cool. Well, if anybody's watching or listening, you must go and check it out. It's called anytask.com, and it's a freelance platform, similar to kind of Fiverr or Upwork or that type of thing. It's really easy to use. There's no bidding or anything. You just see what you like and you hit buy. But it's been attempted a couple of times before with cryptocurrency being behind it, but it's never, ever succeeded. There's been a couple of hundred people using it or whatever, and this has gone mad. There's now more than 25,000 tasks listed on the platform, and 570,000 registered users. So it's just it's going from strength to strength. There's been a few things that really made that happen. Partly it's because we've got Electroneum, the payment network at the back end, powering all outbound payments. So everyone who's operating as a seller, they have this great new way to be paid. This cryptocurrency. So, it's not Bitcoin, but it enabled you to buy some Bitcoin, or it enabled you to jump around in that crypto world. But more importantly, perhaps for our sellers, is we've hooked in with loads of mobile operators, so you can buy airtime with it, you can buy data, which of course you run your little business from, you can buy electricity, you can buy foods, medicines, all sorts of other stuff, or in a lot of places convert it out to local currency. So it's just a sort of a great new way to earn, I suppose.
Well, that's right. And I think, once the masses figure out there is an application for it, that is maybe going to unlock a lot of things, especially considering kind of the chaos the world is in. But okay, so Richard, in gaming, you're getting into gaming too. Boy, that is a really hot area. So how are you playing in that space?
Yeah, well, again, I mean, it's a space, funny enough, right at the very beginning. That's how we saw our route to market. It didn't work out that way in the end, just because the viral growth in the unbanked usage was just immense. So that's where we focused our attention. But it's never really left our focus altogether. So we saw it's been sort of trickling away in the background. And now we're starting to see some games adopt ETN for the same reason. I mean, anything that's a digital service. So when I say pay TV, you don't really care where your audience is, you just want subscriptions. And for gaming, there is no better example. The people that are underbanked or unbanked around the world, their youngsters still want to play Fortnite. They still want to play these games. And so you are opening up a massive new market by accepting ETN. By accepting any cryptocurrency as it happens, but ETN happens to have a ready-made market. So we're seeing some of these games adopt ETN because it's something else that these people can do with their earnings. And as such, it grows both projects, helps them grow, helps us grow. So there's a great symbiosis with gaming companies. And I suspect to see a lot more coming in 2020.
Okay, well, you said you were busy. Now I see why. So, Richard, it's always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for bringing us up to date on Electroneum.
You are most welcome. Nice to talk to you.
Friday, Barron's announces their top stocks for 2021, inside the companies that made the cut and the smart investing moves going into the new year on a Canvas Barron's Roundtable. Brought to you by